In a career that spanned almost 5 decades, Alan Hemphill, who retired in 1997 as a professor of computer science from National University in California, served as an innovative business leader, a prolific writer, and more, despite being up against the odds from a young age. Since he was 5 years old, Mr. Hemphill was an orphan. He spent 6 years in various military schools and as a result wanted more than anything to graduate from the Naval Academy. As a poor orphaned child, Mr. Hemphill didn't have a lot in life, and as his grandmother advised, he would never be able to afford college, so his best bet was to work his way into the Naval Academy if he wanted to earn a college education. At 17, he made good on his ambitions and joined the Navy, served in the Korean War, and entered the United States Naval Academy in Annapolis, Maryland in 1953. By 1957, he was a graduate with a Bachelor of Science in Engineering, but his military career didn't end there. In fact, Mr. Hemphill would spend more than 20 years in active service. He worked various assignments throughout the subsequent decades, but his primary specialty was in submarines. From 1960 to 1970, he was qualified for command of submarines. It was specifically his long hours in the military, he later noted, that prepared him and served as a springboard for a productive and exciting career as a manager of various businesses. He learned in the Navy how much time and effort is required to be truly successful, as the military branch requires sailors at sea to work 70-hour, sometimes even 90-hour weeks. In the business world, he said, you have to work just like a sailor at sea. You can work 40 hours a week, but if you want to be successful, you need to put in more hours. Mr. Hemphill carried that kind of work ethic with him throughout his accomplished professional life. Before taking his job at National University in 1984, he had served as the president of Community Business Consultants in San Diego from 1984 to 1985, was chairman on the board of directors at Oak Broadcasting Systems in Glendale from 1983 to 1984, president and chief executive officer of KBCS-TV in Los Angeles from 1982 to 1983, the founder of Orion Business Systems in the early 1980s, manager of Prestige Properties from 1977 to 1980, and a computer programmer at Electronics Laboratory in San Diego in 1967. In addition, he also found time to be the executive director of the Community Foundation of North San Diego County from 1996 to 1997, the senior vice president of Orion Network Solutions from 1990 to 1991, on the board of directors for Community Business Consultants in 1984, as well as a trustee at KBSC-TV from 1982 to 1984. Mr. Hemphill is also a licensed realtor, has served as a real estate broker for 3 years, and was designated an expert witness on the subject of real estate values by the Superior Court of the State of California in 1978. This all from a man who has admitted to never applying for a job in his life. As Mr. Hemphill put it, he has always just lucked into things and happened to merely be in the right place at the right time throughout his career. He was asked by others to be involved in everything he's done, invited to take on positions, and climbed the ladder from there. He never aspired to have a prosperous career in the television and business fields, but he found himself consistently finding success in them. Mr. Hemphill has also had continued success as a columnist, with more than 2,000 articles and columns to his name throughout his career, which were published in professional journals, chapters in books, and newspapers, including the Pomerado News and San Diego Community News Network. The senior vice president of KBSC-TV, a Fortune 500 company, was a particularly loyal fan of his columns, cherishing them so much that on Sunday nights he and his family would gather at the dinner table to discuss them at length. He was so impressed with Hemphill throughout his written word that along with the owner, chairman of the board, and a few others within the company, it was decided to appoint him as president and, by default, chief executive officer. In his brief time in the role, Mr. Hemphill led the station from a $1.9 million profit to a $9 million one. In 1987, Mr. Hemphill earned his Master of Arts in Management from the National University while also teaching there. At the institution, he also served as Director of Alumni at the National University Alumni Association from 1992 to 1994 and was president of the group from 1991 to 1994. In addition to his official jobs, Mr. Hemphill was frequently involved in the community as the founder of Hidden Meadows Community Foundation, the president and chairman of the Green Valley Civic Association, and president of the Meadows Homes Association. Despite his career accomplishments and achievements, Mr. Hemphill considers himself the luckiest man alive because of the support he had at home. While in the Naval Academy, he was a member of the choir, and one Christmas he had to travel to Hood College in Frederick, Maryland for a performance. A fellow member was dating a girl who was friends with his now wife, Jean Tilden Baker, who he met and asked to accompany him at a formal dinner. She declined at first because she was a junior and he was a freshman, but eventually they were set up together on a blind date. Afterward, he told his roommate that she was the girl he was going to marry one day. That day came on June 8, 1957, and this year marks 61 years of marriage, one in which he said, "An unkind word has never passed between them, because she is a saint." Together they have 3 children, 4 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Alan Hemphill has had a career filled with unexpected success and remarkable accomplishments, and he leaves behind a legacy of hard work, service, and perseverance.